for judges, and actually they will be asked to make the ethnicity or faith of an offender a bigger factor when deciding whether to jail them. Do you agree?
This is all complete rubbish. This is a misreported story. Let's leave ethnicity out of it for a second.
That is central to these.
Wait, hang on a second. The other category.
There is about to be a new law which means judges will sentence you based on your skin colour and gender. That means if you are Muslim or black, you will most likely get a lesser sentence than a white person for the same crime. Ash Sarkar seems to think it's blown out of proportion, and those who are outraged by it are ideologically motivated right-wingers. That's laughable coming from her. Like Ash Sarkar, the people behind this law are the most ideologically driven people on God's earth. The fact is, we now have radically left-wing activists making the laws. The law is designed to be an attack on the majority population, so it undermines Britain. They are using minority rights to attack the majority, whether that is done insidiously by incremental steps or explicitly. Sarkar then goes, forget about ethnicity for 1 minute and let's focus on women. She says being a mother, for example, should be taken into account before sentencing. This wife of a Conservative councillor who had no previous convictions and had lost a child in tragic circumstances was jailed for over 2.5 years for a Facebook post during the riots last summer. 2.5 years for a social media post. Think about that. And people have the cheek to say there is no two-tier justice. In fact, Sarkar thinks two-tier justice is in favour of white people. It's unbelievable. Apparently, the government was unaware of this change.
Turning to the new sentencing guidelines that's been published alongside this statement, which will make a custodial sentence less likely for, and I quote, ethnic minorities, cultural minorities, and faith minority communities. Why is the Justice Secretary enshrining this double standard, this two-tier approach to sentencing? This is an inversion of the rule of law. We on this side of the House believe in equality under the law. Why doesn't she?
As somebody who's of an ethnic minority background myself, I do not stand for any differential treatment before the law for anyone of any kind, and there will never be a two-tier sentencing approach under my watch or under this Labour government.
Unbelievable. And this is no coincidence. We have all these powerful institutions that were deliberately made independent from the government. Now they are free to enshrine their left-wing ideology into everything. None of this will change until the government gets to grips with these groups, brings them under control, and roots out all the activists. And it's okay Jenrick talking tough, but the Tories allowed this to happen under their watch, and they are just as responsible as Labour. Anyway, take a watch.
Guidelines for judges, and actually they will be asked to make the ethnicity or faith of an offender a bigger factor when deciding whether to jail them.
I try to defend the justice system against people who are very critical of it, but this completely undermines my whole stance. The idea that one person should be judged differently over another on the colour of their skin is exactly what we've been fighting against for years. So I am really troubled by this, and I agree with both Robert and Shamana that this shouldn't come through.
Right. Do you agree?
This is all complete rubbish. This is a misreported story.
Why is it misreported? What's misreported?
One is that the proposed changes are about pre-sentencing
Yes, they're reports.
Pre-sentencing reports can't compel judges to make different
they are
decisions.
guidelines.
But what they do is they say you have to consider this person's situation.
That's right.
What the proposed changes are is that if someone is from a minority ethnic background, if they're pregnant, if there's mental health issues, a history of abuse, if there's a history of being in the care system, maybe you want to have a look at this person.
Well, I think more than maybe, you're going to be advised to take that into account in a bigger way than perhaps you had before, because over recent years their use has decreased.
And I completely agree with the idea that there should be no distinction made on the basis of ethnicity for whether or not someone should get a harsher or lighter sentence. Everyone agrees with that, but that is not what is on the table here at all. Instead, what you've got is ideologically motivated actors taking up the story, making it sound scary. You've got Robert Jenrick taking it up as a big bully stick, and then you've got Labour going, oh, no, we're worried about looking bad. So then they're they're sort of reinforcing, I think, an inherently misrepresentative
I don't think she's worried about
story.
looking bad. I think she's being very clear about the kind of justice system we
Then why
want, which
can't
is
you
that
tell the
people are
truth about
treated
what
equally.
pre-sentencing reports are for?
I think ideally we would have pre-sentencing reports for everyone. We don't have that resource at the moment. It is an important part
So
to
then
look at
you
some of the
agree with the
causes.
change, you don't disagree with the change?
No, what I am saying is that we don't want a two-tier system, which is what I think Shabana Mahmood is being clear about.
But
so
do you
I
think
don't,
that these proposals are a two-tier system?
I don't think she...
I do.
You do why? So what do you
Right, so
say in
do,
response
but
to
do
Ash?
you? Does the
Because
government?
I'll come
you're
back to it.
baking into the justice system bias based on someone's gender or ethnicity. And those are the principles that we have been fighting against for a very, very long time. I don't like the reputation of the law is also at stake here. I don't like the idea that I will be judged differently from someone else based on my gender or my ethnicity. And I really don't see why it should be.
Let's leave ethnicity out of it for a second.
That is central to these.
Wait, hang on a second. The other categories where they say that what they want is pre-sentencing reports for this group of people, it includes people who are pregnant, it includes people who have experienced abuse. Do you think that there should be pre-sentencing reports for those categories of people?
The bit that I am particularly outraged by...
Well, hang on, let him finish.
And that, what is the problem for me as a politician who's trying to, in many ways, stand up for the institutions of justice that a lot of people are trying to attack, is that when this kind of thing turns up, it makes my job extremely difficult indeed. And the explanations that you're giving don't stand up to me to scrutiny.
I don't think that that is what is on the table. When it comes to ethnic minority communities, what we know is that they are more likely to get prison sentences than white people who are being charged with the exact same crime. So I can understand that this might be a ham-fisted way of trying to address it, but a pre-sentencing report, I mean, I don't think that's a bad way to say, let's take a better look at this individual. And I wanted to ask you about victims of abuse for a reason, because particularly for women, many women who are in prison are there following abusive relationships. And I don't think it's a bad thing for judges to be told, hey, why don't you consider this person's story in the round? So leaving ethnicity aside, right, because I understand your feelings about it, are you in favour of pre-sentencing reports for victims of abuse and people who've been through the care system?
100%, and I think you put that very well indeed. And that isn't the part of this that alarms me. It is specifically the ethnicity and the gender parts of it that make my life as a politician trying to defend the institutions of justice extremely difficult indeed.
Right, but should we be thinking about how difficult your job is insofar as making these sorts
Well, I
of
can only
decisions?
sit here describing my life in my own terms. But yes, I think we're under threat. The basic institutions that hold this country together are being questioned in a really serious way. And I'm just shocked by this proposal because of its inflammatory nature and how short-sighted and weird of this panel to have come up with this recommendation,
right,
given what they know about the result.
It is interesting, the sort of shock and outrage on all sides, because these were guidelines that were consulted on. I mean, they were consulted on, I think, some time ago, last year, and it seems as if everybody's been taken by surprise. Why?
Yes, well, I think Kate has a point that there is some sloppy policy making coming out of the MOJ at the moment. We do need a shake-up of the system. It does need to be brought into modern terms. This is not the way to do it.
Right.